Make sure I unmute myself. What a great start to the show. As you can see, it's just Ryan, even though it is the live show with Sue and Ryan. Sue's actually out today. She is, not sure what the official title is, but she is tasting wine and then giving response feedback. She's judging wine. That's what I should say. She's being a wine judge for some event somewhere. Super excited. So she's very happy to be doing that. I am excited to be here doing the live show with everybody today. And we've got a couple of different angles. I added my bird dog camera up above. So I've got that rolling today, and we'll be doing some different shots with the bird dog today, talking about some different technology that I use specifically myself when I'm producing live shows, not only for this show, but for clients as well. And I'll be talking about that right after this. All right, so welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about technology. It's just myself, so I will be hosting and producing the show myself, and there are a couple of different pieces of technology that I want to talk about. I thought about talking about vMix, which is the software we use to go live. However, this is technology that you can incorporate into any broadcast software that you're using for the most part. And so first of all, let's just kind of go with the overhead shot. A couple of things going on. We have the camera here in front of me over my main monitor. You can actually see the vMix software here that I'm using. I have an NDI coming in, which is this camera above me is coming in through this NDI source. And the reason why I have this up is so that I can actually zoom in on different parts of the camera because it is a PTZ camera. So I'll be using that feature today. Let's go back to, oh, I didn't set that one up. Let's go back to number one here. Come on, camera. Thing you gotta love about NDI, sometimes it works right away and other times it doesn't. There it goes. Sorry, I'm watching my other screen and it's finally moving. Finally moving. I'm gonna wait for that to catch up. That way I can go back to the kind of the general overall view that I had. Let me just see if I can pull this back. No, so let's go ahead. I forgot to save one setting in that camera. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna pan over the other way just a little bit. And let's see if we can pan up as a motorcycle goes by, but you kind of get an idea what's going on. Anyhow, we've got the camera. You can actually see the mount that it's on behind. Got the dual monitors, and I have a third monitor back here that I'm not using right now. I typically will use that if I need to, if I have a second computer. So if I'm going to integrate a Zoom call or if I'm going to integrate a PowerPoint presentation, I'll actually bring that in through NDI. And NDI, for those that aren't familiar, is a way of taking audio and video and being able to send it over the network. So I can actually just plug a Cat5 cable as an example. The camera shot that you're seeing overhead, that's not coming in through USB or HDMI. It's not coming in SDI, which is more of a television standard, but it's actually being transmitted over regular network cabling. In fact, you can just barely see if I can get my hand in the video, right somewhere in the corner on the ground there. I'm having a hard time pointing that blue wire right there on the ground. That's actually running to the camera. A couple other things, Stream Deck. I'm sure everybody's very familiar with Stream Deck. I only have a couple of buttons set up on my Stream Deck for this show because it's pretty simple. Being able to bring up the music, having the different shots, such as the 2-up when both Sue and I are on. I have just a button here for just Sue, so I can automatically switch. So as an example, if I push the Ryan button, it will automatically bring me back. So it's automating some of the controls, so I don't have to use a mouse to control everything. I can actually have my finger on a button over here, and when I'm ready to make a cut through the Stream Deck, I can go ahead and set that button up and it's going to go ahead and do that for me automatically. So that's a real basic overview of the Stream Deck. Let's go back to that wide shot though. Also have the Nano Control 2. This is a Korg device. This is an NDI input, and let's see, or excuse me, a MIDI input. This is a close-up of the Stream Deck as an example. And then let me get this to scroll out just a little bit. So this is the Korg, this is the Nano Control 2. This is a MIDI controller. And what's nice is you have these sliders. So if I wanted to bring in that intro music, I can go ahead and bring that in and slide it up. Additionally, I have a mute for myself. I can bring my volume down. So it should be getting really quiet and then getting back up to normal levels. Has all these other buttons. I could also fade if you wanted to do left, right, to be able to pan audio back and forth. There's a number of other controls that are here that you can essentially do anything with. The other nice thing is that when you get this fully set up, which I don't have right now, as an example, the mute button, if I were to click this, so right now if I click it, this is going to mute Sue's channel, which I have the volume down all the way since she's not on here. But again, I could turn her volume up. I can actually mute her channel. It will turn on and off. When you get this fully set up, and there's just one other thing I need to do in vMix, is you can actually have this be red to indicate to you that it's either on or off, whatever your interest is. So that's a couple of the tools that I use on a regular basis. Let me get the camera set up again to kind of a wide shot. And I think there's a couple other items that will finish this out. And that's going to be the microphone. So I'm using a Rode Pod mic. Prior to this, I was using a Yeti by Blue. We have the arm that holds the microphone. It's just clamped to the edge of the desk, which is really nice. And then because this is an XLR mic, I'm having to run it into my Focusrite, which is a preamp, and that's taking this XLR cable that's coming in and it's converting it to a USB so I can go ahead and plug that into the computer. And I probably should mention that all these devices are USB devices. The only thing that isn't a USB device at this time is going to be my main camera, which I'm running HDMI through a can't think of it. I've got an integrated HDMI converter that's built into the machine, or it's a converter that's inside the machine. I cannot think of it right now, but you could also get a USB. A lot of times they have those dongles, HDMI dongles. Anyway, you can get the video from your camera into it. One of the questions that I get from people is on audio. And that is when you're bringing video through HDMI into your computer, should you bring it through your camera or should you do it separately? Personally, I like to do it separately. I like to have my video source be my video source and then my audio source coming through differently. And one of the nice things running it through this preamp is that on the fly, if I don't have software that I can adjust the volume, I can actually adjust the volume here. I'm not going to do it now, but I have some controls. The other thing I can do, because this microphone has to have powered, it needs what they call phantom power. I actually have a button here that's a phantom power. And for me, what I like to do is when I'm not using the microphone is I'll click my phantom power and turn that off so that my mic isn't being turned on. That way I don't have any type of audio going into the computer. Not a big conspiracy theorist, but I have seen situations where you talk about something just in conversation with somebody and all of a sudden that content shows up in your Google feed or in a Facebook ad. So I'm always a little leery having open mics around. So one of the things I like is being able to turn that off independently. The last thing I want to share with you, this is a new addition. I haven't fully integrated it yet at this point because I have a separate PC, but as we do more live videos or excuse me, not live, but integrating Zoom into videos, you need multiple devices in order to get multiple Zoom feeds in potentially. These little mini PCs, otherwise known as a Nook, This one happens to be an Ace PC. These are great little devices. They're inexpensive. They also have a hanger option here where if you wanted to, you could hang these on the inside of the desk. That's what I plan on doing down underneath my desk. I plan on actually mounting this down by my network router or my switcher, I should say, and having it down there. And then I can run it to another monitor in front of me. So great little device there for future production as we expand here at VLivecast. So one of the things a lot of people like to know, okay, what's the cost? What's this going to take? How can I get one? And before I do that, let me just check on Facebook and want to make sure in case Elvis is in the house that I catch him. And let me also just make sure my feed to YouTube. All right, everything's working well there. Let's go ahead and bring up, let me find the button here. Let's go ahead and bring up the screen on this side. And so first I've got the Korg Nano Control 2. This is a USB MIDI controller. You can see here on the screen where it's got the red, so you can actually have it light up. You're looking at $74. You can get these, you can get these on B&H, or you can get them on Amazon. Personally, I really love the customer service at B&H. You can call and get a hold of somebody. The other thing, just as an FYI, they have their Paybu card. It's not an affiliation or anything like that, but I use their Paybu card and they ship to California, but they pay the sales tax. So it's an easy way to save thousands of dollars depending on how much product you're potentially buying. Next, let's talk about the Elgato. Elgato comes, the Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck here comes in a number of different configurations. I have the XL. I like having the multiple buttons. One of the things about this unit is you can see it's got X number of buttons. The cool thing about it, let me actually go back to the other shot. Let's go back to the bird dog cam, and then let me bring up my controller so I can zoom in. So the other thing that's really neat about this is that you actually have multiple layers. So you're not limited to just the buttons that are here on the display. You can actually, let me see if I go all the way out. So I have programs for like Photoshop and different programs that I use, all saved here on the home screen. I also have some websites that I use on a regular basis. I go ahead and plug those in. I also have, if you're a Zoom moderator, by the way, this is a great tool because there are a number of shortcuts in Zoom and you can actually plug those in here. So one of the things I do is I have some regular Zoom meetings that I participate in on a regular basis. So I have those meetings set up so I don't have to go find the Zoom meeting. I can go ahead and hit a button, it automatically does it. In this case, I also have volume if I wanted to just turn the volume up and down myself. There are a number of shortcuts though. So as an example, I can turn my video on and off. I can mute and unmute myself if I want to through Zoom. I can go from a gallery view to speaker view. I can look up chat. I can look up users. There's a search functionality. Instead of having to click the share screen, I can actually just push a button for share screen, and then I can mute all except for the host. These are all presets or shortcuts that Zoom has built in. And now the problem is I got to go to, dun, 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 dun. So I'm kind of digging through a number of programs that I have so I can actually get to the button on the Stream Deck here. What's nice is with Zoom, they have a number of shortcuts. So you might hit Control M as an example for mute. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just using that as an example. Instead of having to find that on your keyboard, you can actually set it up and have it just be a shot on your, or excuse me, a button on your device. So you can actually automate a lot of those features. So the Stream Deck works in so many different ways. It also has some visual cues. So as an example, It's hard to tell, but this button on top is my stream button. It's actually red right now versus the orangish yellow color, which means that it's not on. So when I see something's red, I know it's active, and it's a nice visual cue for me to kind of look over as I'm pushing buttons going, oh yeah, I am streaming. I do have that going. That is really, really good. So, all right, I think we've talked about all those two devices. Let's jump into the preamp, or maybe we should actually go to the microphone first. Let me get this set up. Let's go to the microphone first. So this guy, this is the Rode Pod mic. This is a $99 microphone. It's an XLR. It has great reviews. It's got 5 stars with 125 reviews. What is that? 111 5 stars, only 11 4 stars, 1 2, and 2 1 stars. It is a great mic. I'm not using it with the Podcaster. I forget. Rode has their own mixer and amplifier for this device that's supposed to really bring out the quality of the microphone. I'm not using that. Instead, I'm using my Focusrite. I'm using the 2i2, and this has 2 inputs on the device. So you could have input 1, input 2. These are both XLR independent gain controls. They also have an instrument and an air setting so that it kind of affects the quality depending on whether or not you are speaking. You would want to hit the air, or if you're plugging in an instrument, you can do that also, because you can actually plug in an instrument here. I forget what is whatever size headphone jack, the large headphone jack will actually plug straight into both of these. So this is a great unit, up to 2. They do have other units that have multiple inputs. I think they go up to 4. For myself, typically I only need 2, so I go with that. And then the last item is going to be the little Nook, the little mini PC. I went with the least expensive one. It's $186.99 on Amazon right now. And for what I'm using it for, because I'm not using it to do any heavy lifting, I'm essentially just using it to do Zoom. I'll set up 2 screens on Zoom. That way I can pin people. And then through NDI, which again is that digital source, I can actually digitally transfer both the audio and the video from the Zoom computer into my program feed. And that's just the way I have things set up for me. So those are the tools that I use. I'm kind of curious if I just touched on the basics at this time in this show. I didn't want to overwhelm people. And typically I don't go into a lot of tech review on this weekly show, although I think I probably would like to start another show where I'll go into more of the tech review and talking about that. But I'm curious, out of all the pieces that we've got, let's go back to, I got to get things set up. This is the fun part. Normally I would have Sue to kind of, a lot of times when I have Sue on the show, I'm able to cut to just her, and then I can kind of do some producer stuff on the back end while I'm waiting. But let's take a look at the back end. So I'm just kind of curious, out of these pieces of technology, we have the Stream Deck, we've got the Korg mini controller, we've got the Nook, there is the XLR podcast mic, we have the Focusrite, which is a preamp that's running USB. I didn't even talk about the camera too much. My main camera here that I'm using is the Canon M6 Mark II. It is a mirrorless camera, really like it, and I'm running looks like a 24 millimeter lens right now on it. That way I'm able to get this wide shot, because this thing is literally arm's length away from me. So it's maybe less than 3 feet, I'm guessing, away. So I've got a wide lens so I can get that on. Oh, the one thing I didn't talk about, let's go back here. The other thing I didn't talk about are the lights. I have Viltrox lights. These are great because they come with a remote. So if I'm doing whatever it is that I want to do and I need to turn my lights on and off, all I got to do is find my remote and I can go ahead and turn this on and off. The kit that throwing it around. The kit that I bought comes with 3 lights, 3 stands. They're LEDs. They are bi-colored lights, which is really nice. So I can actually affect the color of the lights if I want to. Let's see, that one's already turned all the way to bright. So if I go ahead and bring these down, I'm going to go ahead and make this more orange, if you will, so you can kind of see how the color's changing. And this is what bi-color lights are able to do for you, is you can actually change the light balance all the way from a very more of an orange, and now I'm going to more of a pure white, if you will, or sun balance. So really like these because instead of messing with the camera and the white balance, I just set the white balance on the camera. I set it so it's not on auto, it's just set. And then I can go ahead and just look at the monitor here in front of me and go, all right, looks a little orange. Let me go ahead and add a little blue back into the light, and I can find a balance that I like. And again, because it's on a remote, really nice. The kit again comes with 3 lights. However, this remote is a 6-channel remote. So you could buy a second kit and be able to run all 6 lights independently. Or if you wanted to, you can group everything. So if you have 2 lights on group A, as an example, when you turn group A on, those 2 lights would turn on. And same thing, if you adjust the light, the strength or power of the light, it'll affect just group A. And then you could have 3 lights, as an example, on group B. You can just switch through the different groups on the remote, and then you have full adjustability. And when you're sitting down in front of a computer and you don't have the ability to get up or ask somebody, hey, would you mind doing XYZ to the light? It's really nice to have all of these tools around you that you can use really easily. The last little tool, and I think this can be one of the most important tools, I got to get it right in front of me, is going to be Post-its. I always love putting a little Post-it right here in front of me, have my show notes on there, or if I have any specific details, I'm able to look at those real quickly and then back at the camera. And that is it for today's show. Hopefully I covered everything in enough detail without being overwhelming and without kind of being too vague at the same time. As always, if you have questions, feel free to leave those down below. We always love to engage with our audience. And I say we, Sue and myself today, it's just me, Ryan, but normally Sue and she'll be back next week, are live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. My goodness. All right, everybody, until next week, I hope you have a great day. Take care.